Hi, Dana here. Welcome to Sew Learn Create. I'm glad you joined us today. And if you'd like to support my channel, I have started a Patreon page, and I'm also selling kits for some of my YouTube projects that you can purchase off my Etsy page. I'll put those in the description box below. But today's project is a popcorn bag. It's a great way to make a healthy popcorn snack for kids, teenagers, even adults like it. And it's simple to make and it's simple to cook. So you cook the popcorn and then it has no oil, no salt. You can add all your salt and stuff to it after it, so it makes it a little bit healthier. So let's get started. For today's project, the popcorn bag, you only need a few simple supplies. There is an important consideration you need to keep in mind, and you must do this or it won't work. And that is, you need to use 100% cotton fabric and you need a cotton thread. The reason for that is when you put it in the microwave, if you're using polyester fabric and polyester thread, it can melt and that would destroy your project. So you need 100% cotton fabric and all-purpose cotton thread. So you need to make sure that you buy your thread in the quilt section of your store, because that's usually where the cotton thread is. So your fabric needs to be 20 inches by 12 inches. And I'm going to use this purple fabric today. So you just need two pieces that are 20 by 12. And you're going to move this out of the way. And you're going to put your right sides to right sides with your fabric. So your pretty side to your pretty side. And it's a big piece of fabric, so make sure you line it up well. And then we're going to stitch these two pieces together, and we're going to leave an opening right here at the top so we can turn it. And when I leave an opening on something, I use a trick where I put my green clip here and I leave about 2 fingers width, and then I put a red clip or a red pin, and that leaves my opening. This is where I'm going to start my stitching, and I'm going to stitch all the way around, and I'm going to stop my stitching here, leaving this opening. So I'm going to finish clipping this and then we'll head to the machine. Now we're at the machine and we're going to stitch all the way around. I have my 100% cotton thread in my top and my bobbin. And we're going to use our presser foot as our guide to keep it nice and straight. So our seam allowance is about 1/4 inch, maybe just a little bit more. I'm going to start here at my green clip and I'm going to stitch all the way around. When I get to my corner, I'm going to leave my needle down, I'm going to lift my presser foot, and I'm going to turn. And that keeps everything nice and straight and it doesn't slip around on me. These popcorn bags are easy to make. They also make a good gift for anybody who likes popcorn. My dad made popcorn almost every night when I was a kid. And it's a great healthy alternative to the popcorn bags that you get for microwave popcorn. Almost to that corner again. We get to the corner, I'm going to stop about 1/4 inch, needle down, lift and turn. These long seams are great for practicing your sewing because you're making that long straight seam. So it helps you learn how to guide when you're beginning to sew. And those corners are a great practice too. Last corner, needle down, lift and turn. And now we're almost back to our red clip. So I'm going to stitch a little bit. And our red clip is where we're going to stop. So I'm going to put my finger there, take my clip off, and that finger is going to help me remember that that's where I need to stop. Do a little back stitch. All right, now we have our stitching all done. We're going to head back to the mat and I'll show you the next step. Now we've stitched our pieces together all the way around and we've left this opening right here at the top. So I want to double check, and I've checked already and made sure that I caught all my sides and I don't have any holes. The next thing, you want to clip your corners across the diagonally. So I'm going to clip my corner, and this reduces the bulk, so when I turn those corners they're nice and crisp. So here's my stitching and here's my diagonal cut, so I'm not cutting anywhere close to that stitching. So I'm going to do that on all four corners. Then I'm going to turn it right side out. It's kind of long, so you're going to want to go stick your fingers in, go to a far opposite corner, and pull a big chunk out. And just turn it gently so you're not pulling your stitches. Then I'm going to use my chopstick, and I'm going to poke those corners out to where they're nice and pointy. And this will help with our overlap and with our box bottom corners. So you want to make sure that you gently push those corners out so that they're nice and crisp. It's kind of hard to find the corners with this big piece. There's two. Go down and get these. I run my chopstick down my seam a little bit, and that helps my seams lay down flat before I press it. So I have my corners all done. Now I'm going to press it so that it's nice, all my seams are laying flat, and then I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to do a top stitch so that I can close this opening right here. So after I press it, I'm going to make sure that this is turned under, and then I'm going to just top stitch very close to the edge, about 1/8 of an inch away, all the way around, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. Now we're at the machine and we're going to do a top stitch, and your top stitch needs to be very close to your edge, and we're going to use it mainly to close up this opening that we made. So I use the inside edge of my foot as my guide, and that makes it a little easier to keep it straight. So we're going to start staying nice and close to that edge to close up that opening. And again, when we get to the corner, we're going to use our needle down, lift and turn, and then we just keep going. Now we've top stitched all the way around and we've closed up our opening right here at the top. So the next step is we're going to create our bag, and we're going to create our folded over tab top. So you're going to take the one end on your short side and you're going to fold it down 3 inches. Not quite. So So 3 inches, and I'm going to put a clip on each side. And I like to check mine at both ends to make sure it's nice and straight. Then we're going to take and we're going to bring our other edge up and go all the way to the top. Making sure that 3-inch doesn't move, I'm going to put clips on either side of those. And I'm lining up this edge right here at the top. So it's covering up that 3-inch flap that we just folded down. Okay, then when we go to the machine, we're going to stitch from this corner all the way down to this edge, this corner down here on both sides. So we're stitching from here all the way down to here on both sides, and that will create our box bag. So see you at the machine. Now we're at the machine and we're going to stitch down both sides where we folded the project up. I'm going to use again my presser foot as my guide, so my seam allowance is about 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put my needle down, and right here at the beginning I'm going to do a little stitching, and then I'm going to do some back stitching, and that is to create a stronger point because that's one of my stress points when I turn the bag inside out. So I'm going to go forward a little bit. Well, maybe, there we go. Then I'm going to back stitch just to give that a little more strength. Then I'm stitching all the way down that seam. And I'm going to do a little back stitch right here at the end. Clip my threads. Then we're going to do it on the other end. So we're going to stitch a little, do a little back stitch, and all the way up the side. Doing a little back stitch right here at the top. And now our sides are done. So the next step is to create our box bottom corners. So I'll see you at the mat and I'll show you how to do that. Now we've sewn up our side seams and we've created our bag with our flap on the inside. Now we're going to do our box bottom corners. So you're going to go to the opposite end from your flap at the top, you're going to the bottom, and you're going to turn your piece to where your seam that you just sewed is on the side, and here's the bottom of our bag, and we're going to place it so that it's flat, and now it makes kind of a triangle. So here's the bottom of our bag, here's our seam, and we have got a triangle. Then we're going to measure down 1 inch, and I'm going to put a clip, and that's going to tell me where I need to stitch. If you wanted to draw a line, you could, but we're going to stitch right across here. So this would be my seam when I take it to the machine. So that making sure that this seam allowance goes to one direction or the other. Doesn't matter if it's to the right or to the left, but it needs to go to one edge. So now I'm going to turn it around and do the other side. So I put my hand in the bag and I flatten out my seam. I'm going to make it go the same direction. So I went right, the left last time. I'm going to go right again. My seam, here's my bottom of my bag, and I'm going to line that seam up right down, making that triangle. I'm going to measure down 1 inch, and I'm going to put a clip on both sides of that 1-inch mark. And like I say, if you wanted to draw a line across so it would help you stitch, it would be hard to see on this fabric, but that might make it easier. So when I go to the machine, I'm going to stitch from this edge all the way across to this edge on both corners. So see you at the machine. Now we're at the machine and we're going to stitch straight across here to create our box bottom. The reason you want a box bottom on this project is so that it makes the bag roomy enough for when your popcorn pops that it has enough room to expand in the bag and it doesn't keep it flat. So we're going to start right here at this edge. These don't have to be perfect, so if you don't get them exactly 1 inch, don't worry about that, because it just is going to create that box bottom. So I'm going to stitch a little bit, do a back stitch, and then I'm going to just keep going straight across. And I'm going to back stitch a little bit over here. So there's my first one. And I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to do my next one. And when you put it at the machine, you just want to make sure that your back part is laying flat, because it's real easy to get it off a little bit, but you want to make sure that it's laying flat, and that will create the box. I'm going to put my finger there where my clip was, slide it in my machine, stitch a little bit, back stitch, making sure everything's nice and flat, and I'm just going to keep going straight across. And back stitch a little bit. Now this is where the magic happens, and you think, how is that going to make it box bottom? Well, let me show you. So now I've got my 2 triangles sewn, and if I pull it across, you can see how it opens up the bottom of the bag. So when I turn it right side out, get those corners all pushed, flip my flap around, now I have my flap at the top where it's 3 inches, and I have my box bottom at the bottom, so that it makes it wider at the bottom than it at the top. And now our project is done. Now that our popcorn bag is finished, I'll tell you how you can cook your popcorn. So you're going to take a 1/2 cup of regular popcorn kernels that you buy in a bag like this, and you can get these at any grocery store. And you're going to take 1/2 cup. You pour your kernels in to the bag, place it on a plate that is microwave safe, and you make sure that the kernels are kind of flat. And then you're going to pop it from 3 to 5 minutes depending on your microwave. And you're not going to use the popcorn button. That is very important. You want to cook it on high, 3 to 5 minutes, depending on your microwave. And then you have a great, healthy snack. I will put a link in the description box below for these tags that I made that go with my popcorn bags, so you'll have them in all the instructions. So I hope you liked today's project, and if you did, be sure you give it a thumbs up. And I hope you enjoyed learning how to make box bottom corners, because they're great for lots of different projects. And I'll see you in the next one.